Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us. This is another episode of The Men of Zen, an anime research podcast. My name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Aiden.
Today, we are talking about one of our favorite MMO anime that we have ever watched, and that's right, you guessed it, Overlord.
Sword Art Online. What?
No, it's... What did you research?
You told me we were watching that anime about the kid stuck in the MMO, so I was like, Sword Art Online.
Yeah, no. Overlord.
No, dot hack.
What?
Overlord.
What the?
Which
Wait.
one did you know what? It's fine. They're all...
Wait, hold on. Wait, you're telling me that there's an anime with, like, there's 3 different animes with the same premise?
There's probably... I think that there's more than that.
Oh my god.
I mean, I guess you should have understood when I said, however, you must report back to me with your finding. Oh, my lord. Now, in all seriousness, today we are talking about Overlord, and a really interesting take on the MMO RPG, like, stuck from reality concept, where this time the main person who is stuck in the game is an game level character. He has access to all of these spells that are just absolutely nutty, and he just swats away everybody like flies. It's hysterical. I loved some of that.
Yeah, real talk. We did watch Overlord. Don't worry, we're all on the same page. Yeah, this show, like the joke at the beginning, this show is just about another guy gets stuck in an MMO and has to figure out what the hell he's going to be doing going forward. And
right,
this I feel like has a bit more of a it diverges off the traditional path that these games these types of animes follow. This guy's like, oh, this game is not he's not in a game anymore per se. He's now in a whole new world, a world that's not necessarily even the same world he was in just seconds prior to the game shutting down. But we'll probably lead up to that. Let's explain how it leads up to that point.
Yeah, well, I guess, Aiden, what did you think about the show? Like, because you've seen this one before, and this was one of your recommendations, I believe,
yes,
right?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was definitely a different perspective than most like MMO video, like game based anime. He's not necessarily a good guy either. I would say he's more of like a neutral or kind of more in the villain side, more chaotic evil.
Yeah, he never really came across as like, so when we'll get into the characters here, I guess, just to clear things up a little bit. So the main character that we are all talking about is this guy who in game, his character name that he chose for himself is Ainz Ulgon, and he is this he's like an undead lich lord, and he's just a skeletal figure wearing like purple wizard's robes with the gold like trimmings, and he's got like jewels in his like giant horns.
Man is decked out.
Yeah, like he straight up looks like he was a level 110 max character for that season, and had all of the seasonal armor equipped. And man, he's just nutty. So he's this guy that in real life is played by this guy who's just like a financial advisor.
Yeah, he just works
the
in an
person
office
piloting
somewhere.
him. Yeah, so Ainz Ulgon, and so this main character, he's playing this video game. It is the last night of the game. If like an MMO shuts down, sometimes there's a party, and this guy decides to stay, but instead of being logged out and waking up, like with his VR headset on, he just wakes up and he's still inside the game, only to find that some things have changed. Like he has like sensations and stuff now, like he can feel and smell and have different interactions with the NPCs than normal. So he's like, oh, okay, but he's really quick to just be like, well, I guess that's how it is. Right. He doesn't like ever flip out. He's like, fine. I guess I'll have to figure out what this is. And he just basically continues playing the game, even though it's no longer a game to him.
I don't get sidetracked so easily, but Overwatch when Overwatch 2 comes out, they're ending Overwatch.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna get
Yep.
online the last day and see if I get trapped into it.
Yeah. Now,
It works.
are they? Did they say are the costumes and stuff from Overwatch 1? Those are transferring,
Yeah, I think all the
right?
skin and all your achievements will transfer
Thank
over,
God.
but they're just ending Overwatch
Thank God.
original and just making everything just Overwatch 2 only. But yeah,
Thank
I don't know how I feel about
if
that.
you don't
but-
see anymore, I'm trapped as Mercy.
Dude, I'm gonna open that game and just be like, guys, I'm stuck in the game. This is awesome.
Oh my God, I'd have to be. It'd be cool being soldier. I think
Yeah.
I could run around.
That'd be cool to be Reaper.
No,
You
I
be
take that
Bastion.
back. Either Wrecking Ball or Doomfist. Either
Wrecking Ball?
one. I just
Yeah.
want to jump around the map or fly and grapple onto shit. That'd be awesome.
Imagine
want you
being
to be the
Reinhardt.
hamster.
Just, you know, yeah.
Beat the ball.
Right.
All right. Anyway, no, I love Overwatch. So yeah, we've got Eins will go, and it's the main character. So beyond Eins, now everyone else in the game, or in this now real life, they are NPCs of characters that other players made.
Yes.
Now it's not their character like that they were.
No. So essentially, in the beginning of the game, the Eins Ulgon got his name from their guild, which was called Eins Ulgon. They, him and like 41 other online players created this building, the Great Tomb of Nazarick, and through that, they also created these NPCs that they. And what I love about each NPC is you can kind of tell like they were made by different people,
Right, exactly.
not by the same guy. You have giant insect warrior, you have little vampire girl, and I'll go over the names in a sec. But yeah, they essentially were created. All these NPCs were created by the 41 players of the guild, and during the last couple minutes of the game, Eins decided to have a stroll through memory lane and brought all the floor guardians together, all the other NPC characters that were created. He brought them all into the room with him, his throne room, and he decided to wait out the clock. And when the clock struck midnight, all of a sudden he was in this new world, and all his NPCs were there with him, and they still have a lot of their pre-programmed functionality, and they still function a lot like NPCs, but now they just have their own will, their
exactly.
own wills and desires. Funny thing, Eins did tweak the overseer of the floor guardians, Albedo. He tweaked her right before the clock ran out, because apparently his best friend in the game made Albedo, so he thought it'd be kind of funny to mess with her.
That? Was that Touch? That wasn't Touch Me.
No, it wasn't Touch Me. Touch Me's great, but I'll
Touch me harder.
Where's that sound clip from Ghost Stories?
Laptop guy, guys.
Darn
I'm
it.
sorry.
But he makes Albedo fall in love with him, and he thought, he was like, "Oh, I'm just being a goof," because he thought the game was going to end. Only it didn't, and now Albedo is mad in love with him, and she's simping hard for Eins Ulgon.
She's thirsty for that skeletal torso of a man.
Oh boy, it gets
Yeah.
weird.
She wants those bones, all of them.
Every single one on top of her.
And Albedo is like she's like a succubus
Yep.
sort of looking lady with like white demon horns. She wears like a lot of white like flowy outfit.
She's got black wings.
Yeah, she's the overseer of the Guardians of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. She's in charge of like the general management and supervision of the activities that are done by the 7 floor guardians.
Yep.
She ranks above the other NPCs in Nazarick, so she's she's like in charge, but she's also constantly super close to Eins Ulgon.
Yeah, she's essentially his
wants
like
to
number
be
2.
on and in him, around him.
Oh,
Constantly.
them fingers, girl. No, those fingers though.
It's really funny. So that's one of like the first things that happens in the show is when he realizes he's like, oh, I have feelings, and she has feelings. I wonder if they're real. And she like offers herself to him, and he like thinks about it for a second, and he's like, do I?
It's like, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna figure out stuff out. And he's like, Albedo, let me touch your chest.
Oh yeah, he's like, let me touch you, and she's like, okay.
And while he's like, fondling fondling her chest bits, he's thinking entirely like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I was just playing a game. All of a sudden, like, I'm feeling this woman, and she feels real. And he's like, wait a minute, how long have I been doing this?
Oh my god, that was so funny. And that's like as far as it gets for like any sexual activity in the game. Well,
Albedo tries hard, but like nothing. Sadly,
lizards.
nothing happens.
The best part though is
we're not talking about the lizards, okay?
Hey,
we're not talking about that
talking
here.
about that. We're talking about her body pillow she has of him.
She does have a full-size body pillow of
I thought that was the funniest thing ever. Just see like skeleton body pillow.
I was like, hey, Aiden's got one of those.
dude, that's
I do
amazing. So besides Albedo, there is my personal favorite of the bunch, Shaltir Bloodfallen. She's a true vampire and the floor guardian of the 1st to 3rd floors in the Great Tomb of Nazarick. She was created by some of the player names I loved, like the names that the humans, when they played this game before it shut down, his name was Peroronchino.
That does sound funny, but what does it mean? Or is there like is there any hidden meaning behind it?
Peroronchino? I don't freaking know. It has a quote here that apparently the character said, "H games are my life."
Oh no, Perochino.
Peroronchino, no.
Aiden, you want to tell us something?
that is not me.
No, he's the younger brother of Buku Buku Chagma.
Yeah.
That's another one of the just amazingly bizarre but kind of fun names to say. So we have Peroronchino and Buku Buku Chagma.
My favorite is Touch Me.
Touch me.
See, I thought, like, when I heard that, I'm like, that doesn't sound, that can't be what it sounds like, right? And then I looked up the list. I'm like, no, the character's name was Touch Me. Yeah, I love how they refer to him as Lord Touch Me.
Lord Touch Me. Now he was. Let's see, who was that? That wasn't Cocytus. What did Touch Me make?
So I'll have to look that up, but like Brett was saying, besides Albedo, obviously being the leader, an overseer of the Tomb and the Guardians, you do have the other Guardians, Shaltir Bloodfallen. You have Demiurge, who was one of my favorites.
Yeah, he felt like a Yu Yu Hakusho character.
Yeah, like, I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. He is a demon with the ability to fly, create, like, spiky weapons out of his body, as well as he has the ability to tell humans and lesser beings what to do with his voice, and they have to obey. He's also one of like his chief strategists for the guild and for Ainzul Gon.
Yeah.
Then you have Cocytus, who's his military general. Big giant silver bug dude with armor.
Take Mikazuchi makes Cocytus.
Yep.
Cocytus looks like he is like a giant, what are they called, cod pieces?
He looks like something out of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
I 100% believe
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, totally. He's a Yu-Gi-Oh card, like 12-star monster, special summon.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Well, he reminds you of, you guys seen the movie Ants back in the day?
Yeah.
You know those buff soldier ants?
Oh,
That's what
Yeah.
that's what he reminds me
Okay.
of, just like a blue version.
Beyond that, you have the twins who guard, I think they guard the 6th floor together. I have to do a double check on that, but I really like these twins, Ora Bella Fiore and Mare Bello Fiore. What's interesting about these characters that I didn't notice it on my first playthrough, my first viewing of it, is that they are actually they are cross-dressing. Aura, at first I thought was a guy, but no, Aura is a girl, and Mare, who is actually in a skirt, who has like hairstyle of a small girl, he is a guy, and they even bring it up how their creator was like, you know what, I like these two and I want them to cross-dress.
Yeah.
And
they're just like little whimsical elf kids, like if from Zelda, like whatever the Kokiri Forest, like elf people. That's kind of like what they remind me of. Like one of them could be Link.
Yeah,
we don't know.
One of them's a. Oh, Aiden. But like they're Aura is a beast tamer. She has a lot of different beasts that she brings along with missions. Pretty strong fighter in her own right. But then you have Mare, who is a spellcaster. Very powerful, not as on the same level as Ainz, but incredibly strong in her own right, his own right. Sorry. Then you have Victim.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what about Victim?
Victim, I couldn't get a whole lot of information about
It's
Victim.
like a fetus with reindeer ears.
Yeah, and like a
reindeer
halo. Like
horns.
Victim is the guardian of the 8th floor, and apparently Victim, the 8th floor is where the core defense of Nazarick is located at.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of, they don't go into a whole lot of his powers, but apparently he's very important to Ainz, because Ainz said he was going to sacrifice Victim to do something very big that he needed to do, but then he was going to revive him with resurrection magic. Victim's cool. He's just like, I'm just happy to be here. And then you have the final guardian, Gargantua.
Yeah.
Who Gargantua does not have a personality.
He's just a big old brown hulking turd of a monstrosity.
Yeah. You see him literally in one episode of the entire 3-season anime, and he literally is there to throw a giant square like of metal that Ainz uses to like as a platform.
Yep.
That's all he does. But
That's all he
apparently
needs.
yeah, but apparently he and Shaltir are tied for the strongest floor guardian
really?
in the tomb.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but because Shaltir is actually has a personality and she's actually has intelligence, Gargantua is probably second strongest.
Yeah. Who's some of your favorites, Aiden? Do you have a favorite floor guardian?
Kind of. He's not really a guardian, but like he's very close in power to him. He's the butler guy.
Yeah.
Sebus, I believe Sebus.
Sebas. I think it's
Yes.
Sebastian because I'm
Tien,
pretty
yep.
sure it's supposed to be Sebastian.
Yep. He was actually created by Touch Me, and he's one of them.
Oh, he was created by
he was
Touch
created
Me.
by
Yeah!
Touch Me, yeah.
I knew I loved him.
And he's like a head butler, so he's very strong, and he's very close in strength to the floor guardians. He's pretty badass.
Oh yeah, what is keep going because I remember the guy's name from Full Metal Alchemist that does his voice, the Führer.
The Führer, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, he even though he's not a floor guardian, he's very close in power. He originally served Nazarick as a Nazarick's last line of defense alongside the Pleiades. I believe they're like the battle maids basically on the 9th floor. So he's basically to give time basically to Ainz O'Ghul to prepare for the final stand in battle. That's basically his role.
So not only do we have the 7 floor guardians, we have Lord Sebas with the battle maids, and then we have other area guardians in this giant tomb that are incredibly terrifying and powerful. Basically, every person in this tomb is incredibly strong by just anybody's standards. Like when they go out and explore this, new world that they've come to, no one can hold a candle to these people. Like even the strongest warriors come up and they
can't penetrate through the defenses
They're
here.
incredibly weak. That's why I love this show. Like one of my feelings on this show, it just feels like everybody is Saitama from One Punch
Exactly,
Man.
just use One Punch
And
Man.
everybody here is Saitama level, and you're just seeing all these people give their best to beat them, and they just can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, Ed Blaylock is the guy who does both King Bradley, the Führer, and Sebastian.
Oh yes, that's what we were talking about earlier. That's cool.
Yep. No, I think that's awesome. Like I heard that voice immediately. It was like, hey. You're normally like a bad dude. I love him. He was one of the cooler characters for sure. And there's a slew of really good main characters like like the ones we mentioned, Shaltir, Demiurge, Cocytus, Sebastian. All of those are like really great. Now the part for me where this was not my favorite series.
What?
Like it's okay. I felt like series 1 was building to something really cool, and then they did 2 more seasons, and it went, yeah, but when does it get good?
So I agree with you there. Season 1 is very different in comparison to seasons 2 and 3. Where season 1 you are
2 and 3 could be summed up with like what was it? Season 2, there's lizard people that
Like
love
the
each
first
other.
half of the season 2 is
Yeah,
just
it's lizard
people.
people, and I'm like, all right, but what does this have to do with Ainz and any of his stuff? Now, okay, so there's one major plot line in Overlord, and what's kind of cool also is they don't just call it like Overlord like season 2, they just straight up call it Overlord 2, and then there's Overlord 3 in like the
like video games,
the sequential years. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So in like the second season, one of the major ploys is that Einzelgone is obviously a super powerful sorcerer, but he is now trying to learn more about this world, so he decides to take up another class, and he decides to go with the warrior class. And he's like, I need to work my way back to the top from the bottom. And he becomes, what's his name?
Momon.
Momon, yeah. And he's like this hulking black knight, just kind of wandering swordsman, and he's like, I'm looking for the easiest jobs you have, and just wants to work his way up through the ranks and start over. And Albedo accompanies him as another.
No, it's not Albedo. It's
it's Nabriel, because she's one of my favorite maids too.
Yep, she's one of the maids.
Like a doppelganger battle maid.
Yeah, okay.
She's a super powerful OP like magic caster.
Yeah.
Because in this world, a lot of the same basic functions from the game they're playing, Yggdrasil, come into play here. Like, for some, it does feel weird. Like in season 1, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of video game elements in this, but then seasons 2 and 3 happen, and you see a lot more video game references. Like the Adventurers Guild. These adventurers have abilities called martial arts and skills they can use, just like you would if you were playing a video game. But then no one holds a candle, like I said, to these guys who, what's her name again?
Which one, Nabriel?
Yeah, Nabriel.
Yeah.
In this world, they're like nothing stronger than tier 6 magic. But then she comes in, she's like, yeah, I got like tier 7 easily.
Right.
Yeah.
And
because it was only the supreme beings or the humans that played those players.
Right. The 41 original players in the guild, who are now referred to in the series as the supreme beings.
So what did they always call it? It was like supreme magic. Or,
yeah, there was like 7th tier, 8th tier. I think it was even up to 10th tier. Then there was called supreme magic, and then finally above that, world tier magic.
Oh yeah, world tier. Yep. Yeah, so all these different levels of magic, and like again, like Phil said, like the highest level, that even like the badasses of this new world are like level 6.
Yeah.
And Heinz is over there going like, oh, sorry, I was almost scared for a second. And then he said level 6.
Because in like as Momon, because he spent his entire game becoming the strongest mage he could, he was like, well, I can't just go around being a magic caster, because apparently that's not as common. So he uses a magic item that allows him to become a maxed out statted knight class. So he swaps between the two, and he gets his two double swords, but he can't use magic in this form. So he has like really cool armor, really great weapons, and he's got like strength out the ass, but he can't use magic.
That's okay. That's where Nabriel comes in.
Exactly.
She's the magic tank.
Yep, and that's a really fun like little quest. I did like that one. Season 1 again is mostly about
learning about the characters and kind of building up their group.
Then
and
season 2 is just weird with the lizard. There's a scene where if you guys watch season 2, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can't unsee that. But no, like, well, I mean, so season 1 they had, I mean, obviously, like you said, it's there. He's learning about the game. He's like, oh, I don't have any access to menus and stuff, but he still has all of his magic spells, and it's cool that now that he's in this world, he can kind of use the spells maybe in a little bit more of an unconventional way than where the game had limitations based on how the spell could interact in the game. Well, now it's this, however, the spell just interacts in a real world. But he would one of the first ones that I thought was really cool that he used was he's like cast clairvoyance and then cast crystal eye, or like all seeing crystal eye, and all it did was throw like a clairvoyance, which in D&D, I know I'm a D&D nerd, you can throw clairvoyance on the other side of something like a wall or a door or something, but you can only choose seeing or hearing. You don't get to do both. So you can kind of look into this orb and you can either hear what's on the other side of the door or you can see what's on the other side of the door. You don't get both. But like he like casts these two spells together in conjunction, and the girl, I'm pretty sure, I'm never gonna remember that name, Nabriel, yeah.
He's called Nab or Nabe,
yeah.
Navi.
So Nob, yeah, I believe it was her that casts clairvoyance, so that they can either see or hear, but then he's like, and then cast all-seeing crystal eye, and then it just creates an orb that like everybody can see, and then they probably had to have chose hearing, and now they can also see from the crystal eye thing. I'm like, that's kind of cool that like but then also it's one of those shows where they can do whatever the fuck they want, and they could be like, oh, like two kids on a playground like pretending to be I don't know, space people, and one of them's like, I hit you with my laser sword, and the other kid goes, no, I had a shield that stops laser swords. It's kind of like that, where if there's ever a time where they need to be like, oh no, he's about to die, luckily he knows this spell that no one ever mentioned before, that he never needed to mention that he had before, it just happens to be the one he needs. There it is.
It was,
he did it.
Yeah, this basically, it, like I said, it reminds me a lot of One Punch Man, where you have these incredibly powerful individuals stepping up to what most people in this world consider like the strongest characters, and they like use these awesome abilities, and they're incredibly strong fighters in their own right, but they're not at, you know, in like levels of RPGs. They're probably like in their early 30s, and these characters like the Floor Guardians are in their 80s and up. Yep. It's really cool to see like the animation and the attacks they can do, only to be like, oh, was that all you got? It's
I'll take your best shot.
Right, like, oh god, no, that's gonna be stuck in my head all day. Like the lizard arc in season 2, where they just spend the entire like half of the first season, like this lizard tries building up their army to fight Ainz Gon, because he says, hey, guess what? I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna kill you all. Mm-hmm. It's a show of force, and they build up this army, they gather all the tribes, they're like bonding, they're becoming friends with each other, and then you have Cocytus has come out there and he wrecks all 5 of the tribe leaders without having to move. He just takes, you know, swipes or crushes them, and it's absolutely insane. You think like, oh, they have a chance, and then you're just like, oh no, they don't. They really don't.
They're epically screwed. So yeah, like it's pretty quick that the lizard people are like, Ainz gets to all of them, and he's like, all right, you have a choice, either serve me, or what was it, in like 2 days I come back here and I massacre all of you, after showing them like what his potential truly is, and they're like practically shitting their pants. They're like, oh nope, we see what you mean. Yeah, we'll go with you. Yep. But
then they're just like, we can still win this together. And Cocytus comes and crushes them. Like, nope.
But so Ainz is not. I mean, Lord Ainz is not, you know, without mercy. He one of the people that had died that was very prominent, he resurrected. He did a very expensive resurrection spell, and he brought them back to life. And because again, you know, this used to be an MMO, so. All of these skills still exist, but now that he is the only one left with like these high level powers, like the NPCs are in shock. They're like, you brought somebody back from the dead, and he's like, yeah, it was no big deal, I do it all the time. Oh, all right, cool. Oh man, it's super. It's, I don't know, like I said, this anime has its ups and its downs. Like
the best way to put it is when you guys played in Skyrim, like the God mode hack. Basically, that's basically what it is. You get all the spells at your disposal, all the armor, all the weapons, and you just go through and just destroy all the Nords.
There was a couple like times where they thought that he was gonna have like a close call, but then like typical Lord Ainz Gon has like some hidden trick up his sleeve that he's like, I anticipated that you would do that, and so I had this ready to deploy this skill at any moment's time, and that just completely thwarted your plan. Or something else that I actually thought was really funny about this is that since this is, you know, a whole new world to Lord Ainz, he doesn't know everything like he should, or at least like he used to. So sometimes he'll come up with a plan, and the plan will work, but it will accidentally do something else that also favors him, and all of his like sycophants in in Nazarick are like, oh my lord, you were so wise to do that. Did you know that this would happen? And he would play it off like, yes, I did. It went exactly as planned. And like internally he's like, whew, I can't believe that worked.
Right, because like it's so funny because when he talks, he's got a dark, like rough tone of voice, but then inside his head he's still got his human voice, and it sounds like he's maybe like 5'5", and doesn't hit the gym a lot. That's way I can describe it. But yeah, it's one of these shows that it kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word here. It tricks you in a way. Like, you think something big's about to happen, and then you're like, oh no, like that's not at all what's
it just
gonna
kind
happen.
of builds up to nothing. Like, it's a lot of it is like the first season again was cool. It left you on this really high note. Like, there's this really epic battle at the end, and then with season 2 kicks in, and I'm like, all right, what is it about? And I'm like, awesome, but what is it about?
Because then season
Lizard
3
Lizard people.
is the same way, because it builds up. Ainz is essentially saying, hey, I want to establish my own kingdom. Give me some of your land, or else I'm going to just destroy you.
But he wants to. What does he call himself though? He's like, you have to call me like King
Sorcerer King.
Yeah, Lord Ainz the Sorcerer King, and he's like taking up this whole new title, and he's like trying to show the remaining like human factions, like, hey, just let me rule over you. Like, that's really all that I want.
Right, like,
it's for your own good.
Because, like, he's not even being like the bad guy per se, but he's also not the protagonist.
Yeah.
Like, he does
that,
do more bad things than good. Like in the season 3, where he basically says, yeah, just give me your land, I'm gonna rule my own kingdom, and if you do not let me do that, and you don't respect my kingdom, then yes, I will destroy you. And he shows a force where in this world, they're trying to even learn to summon and control one Death Knight, and he's able to just be like, cool, snaps his fingers and summons like dozens of them. And he is such a he's a great strategist when showing off his power. He's a master at showing him like, hey, this is how strong I am, and this is just a fraction of what I can actually do. Right. You can't touch me. And like in the last battle in season 3, where he literally wipes away half their forces just by himself, and then summons giant ass monsters to do the rest. And he says, yeah, I'll let my monsters go free, or you can let me win. Yeah, he's not a good guy. But he's also, I wouldn't call him necessarily a bad guy.
Right. Like they said in Wreck-It Ralph? He's a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy.
Yeah. Just because I am a bad guy, does that make me a bad guy?
Right.
Was that Zangief?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because Ainz even mentions, like, as the game's gone, as like his time in this new world has gone on, he feels like his human emotions, his rationality is dwindling away, and he's thinking more like an undead, which he is. He's not just stuck in an MMO, like, he's now reborn in this world as his character.
Right.
Yeah, and like a lot of it too is also that, so his master plan is he doesn't know who all, if anyone else is stuck in there with him, or if it's just him. So his idea is, I'll take the name of my guild and make it my character name, because they were already pretty famous, and then that way I'll make myself as famous as I can throughout the land and take over anything and everything I can to spread the name of Ainz Ulgon. And if anybody else was in the game, like me, they should potentially recognize that title. They'd be like, oh shit, I'm not the only one. So he's just trying to gain notoriety, simply basically as like an advertisement, to be like, hey, I'm stuck in here, but so far nobody else has come forward saying that they are.
Now there's one thing though they kind of set up in season 1, but really they don't do anything with, as far as I can remember, in the other 2 seasons, that Shaltir is possessed by what he believes is just a standard, like, it's a high level spell, because obviously how powerful she is. But when he goes to like break it with one of his strongest items, and he finds that he can't, he realizes that only one item in the game could possibly have brainwashed her, and that was a world tier item, where is one of like the hardest objects to get in the previous game. So he's like, hold on, if somebody in this world has one of those items, that's not somebody that I want to make an enemy out of. Or I need to know like who they are, how they got this item, or are they part of the old game? What's the story there? But they really don't do anything with it.
No, at least not. I don't know. I feel like something like that has to be coming, because he's still got a bunch of these. So like any typical MMO, you have like a guild, and within that guild you have like a guild vault where you collectively as a team can store your valuables and your resources, things like that for other players, or things that other players made. for like any of their crafting abilities. So they have in this game in Overlord, they have a vault full of like these world tier items. So they have a few, and it's just leftover stuff from like players as they left the game. They'd be like, "Here, have all my stuff. You've done a great job running the guild so far. Thanks so much." And they're just like, "I'm out. I think I'm done with the game." And they'd hand over all of their stuff. So he has a bunch of world tier items, but I guess I don't know how many. I don't think they ever mentioned how many there were. Like if there is a total amount.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think they did that, but before we talk into that, the Vault Guardian, I love him. Pandora's actor.
Oh yeah.
He was a creator. He was an NPC created by Ainz Ul Gon.
That outfit
himself, and he has a very strong personality. Like he's kind of weird and just kind of crazy in a little way. Like he's kind of like a theatrical guy. Like he likes to oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Where he like exaggerates his
he's very dramatic. He's got a lot of flair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Ainz looks at him. He's like, "Oh my god, why did I make him like this? Why did I think that was cool back then?" And he like even like presses him against the wall. He's like, "You need to stop that. Change your mind." He starts talking German to him. He's like, "Don't talk German to me." He's such a funny character. But he guards the vault. Yeah. With all their money and all their weapons and armor and. He doesn't really get a whole lot of screen time. He's in like one episode, but I like him.
I know you guys didn't like the season 2 and 3.
I mean, I liked all of it. I liked it. I just feel like it definitely was a huge tone shift.
It definitely was, but I like how it introduced more of the side characters, which I like a lot too. Like you see more of the battle maids and all your character and all those.
Sevis.
Yeah.
You know what?
The story just wasn't like. There just wasn't a story.
In a way,
this was like
more just introducing the characters, though. It was more just giving them.
But it's season 3.
But like each season 4, though. Season 4 this March, guys.
Yeah.
So what I think
might go back into.
I'll probably watch it, but this just wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. It wasn't as action packed.
So what I think it is. Think of it like this. Each little story, like say for example, season 1, pretty much all of season 1 talks about how strong Ainz Ul Gon is, and then shows how strong Shaltir is. And they even compare like Shaltir is is like the only floor guardian that could actually like give Ainz a run for his money in a real fight because of her abilities. And then season 2, the first half is with the Lizardmen, they build them up how strong they are, and then who does he throw in front of them? Colchitis. This little arc is showing how strong Colchitis is in comparison to the other Guardians. Then you have the next arc, which was
the Battle Maids and
the Battle Maids, like showing how strong Sevis was. Yep. Each little arc, all it really does is build up these side characters, which, in my opinion, are interesting characters. But really, the main goal of each little arc is to show how badass the Guardians are.
It is. It just feels like, how in Naruto, there was like an entire season that's just, you can skip that. That's called the season of filler.
Yeah.
And the entire season, didn't it? Like some of this just went on and on and on. And while it's cool, again, it doesn't really progress the story. We do get to learn about these characters, but I mean, it's been 3 seasons. I want to know what's the story? What's happening? It's just a lot of it's like typical MMO
I totally get it.
quest lines. It's not really, there is no grand scheme of, gotta stop the big bad because he is the big bad.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's no tension because none of the characters are ever put into a spot where they're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get hurt, I'm gonna die. It's usually the opposite, where the character that we've been following for the arc, who is a badass in their own right, comes into contact with a guardian. They're like, oh no, they're really strong.
Yeah.
Like when one of your favorite characters, like the Bug Maid.
Oh yeah, she's a badass.
She was a badass, and together the three characters that she was fighting actually were able to hurt her. And then all of a sudden Demiurge comes in, and they're like, "Oh, run! Get the fuck away! This guy's way too strong for us."
Right.
And I love Demiurge so goddamn much. He is just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
His design kind of reminds me of what's his name? Vash. Kind of a little bit of Vash.
Oh yeah, Vash is it's the glasses.
Exactly. The glasses and the hair.
And
yeah, I could totally see that.
But yeah, that's how I look at it. It's a buildup of these little side characters that you actually grow to like, and then they just come into contact with
Yeah.
with the Lord, and they're just like, oh no, we're very weak.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in that. That's what, for me, when I watch anime, I actually don't mind fillers. I love fillers, actually. I love all the fillers in Naruto. I love all the fillers in all the animes. It kind of builds side characters to me. I like that a lot. Like, to me, when I watch anime, that's kind of important to me. I don't care what people say, but
Like
those
usually
little
there's
things.
tension. Like you think someone's
Yeah.
one of your characters that I
But-
like is gonna die, and then you're like, wait a minute, no, the character I like is gonna die by the main characters.
Yeah, but I like, so I like really overpowered shit. Like, I don't know.
Which this show is basically
Exactly.
that.
And I like it when my characters, the characters that I like, fuck up people in the show, like really bad. I love that, and
That's
I
fair.
don't know. To this, me, all the characters I wanted to win won, so it's like I was happy with it.
Yeah, and like
Right.
you know, something that I just really noticed, honestly, is that all of these characters, their designs are so different, just in terms of like their facial details. Like normally when you see a show, all of the characters at least have,
Right.
you know, the same kind of theme going on. All their heads are shaped the same, or they all have the same kind of eyes or the same mouth shapes and stuff. But all of these guys are wildly different. Like Lord Ainz straight up looks like, I mean, again, he should
looks
be
like
like a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Dude, he looks like that Yu-Gi-Oh card. I know you're talking
Baddie,
about.
yeah,
Fucking
like
hell,
not Thousand Eyes Restrict, or the skeleton.
Yeah, exactly. The skeleton
Summon
demon guy.
Skull.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
he looks like straight up like he'd be like a really fancy summon skull. Shaltir is like the typical like lolly maid sort of thing. Demiurge looks more like, again, like I know we just said Vash the Stampede, or I said Yu Yu Hakusho earlier. Cocytus is another Yu-Gi-Oh character. Aura and Mare, they're like
They came from Legend of Zelda,
Yeah.
like the Kokiri.
The one you were talking about earlier, the Entma, she's a battle mage that's actually a spider underneath her like fake like ceramic mask thing.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so badass.
We need to talk about the Cockroach King. who's a
Gargantua is just a
Aragorn.
weird monster thing. Victim is like is the child fetus with
Right.
black reindeer antlers
There's Evil Eye.
for some
She's,
reason,
yeah.
like a Digimon.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of like different battle maids. The bug lady, all their character
Right.
designs are super.
The princesses
unique.
are pretty badass too. The princess with her mask and the red hood and.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's Evil Eye, and let me see. Enri.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And so I mean, there is a slew of good human characters, but that's where the story just kind of, I don't know, flounders for me a little bit, where it's just a lot of exposition and just a lot of talking and a lot of politics and a lot of moving around armies and convincing this town that I'm not such a bad dude after all, and I don't know if they
By
were.
force.
Yeah,
I was gonna say by force.
you will say that I'm not that bad, or I will kill you where you stand. So we never saw Buku Buku Chagma.
Nope.
There was a scene where it was described that like it's like the character's like a blob, like a melting blob lady thing. That's like as much as we get for Buku Buku.
I don't know if I
Chagma.
want to fight that. Like I've seen enough hentai to know where that's gonna go.
Oh, we talking about are we talking about the green like torturer lady? Was she? Was she? Oh no, never mind. I'm sorry. There's just, you said like blob, and I'm like, oh no, are we talking about?
Oh not her.
So fun fact, I actually just looked up. Lord Touch Me was originally the leader of the guild before passing the torch to Ainz, before he decided to quit the game. And
So was Touch Me stronger than I?
Touch Me here we go. This is actually pretty neat. Touch Me was among the only 9 players in the game that could use the special class World Champion. Being a world champion, he Touch Me, who could wield
yeah.
both a sword and a shield, was evaluated to be one of the strongest players in the entire game, as well as the greatest warrior in all of Yggdrasil. He is the most powerful of the Ainz Ul Guild. Essentially, yes. At one, basically, while he was playing the game, he was stronger than Ainz, which is
That is
insane
scary,
because
yeah.
Ainz is an incredible
Like,
magic caster, but
scary.
apparently Lord Touch Me was a bit
Lord.
stronger.
Touch me.
Can you imagine just being an NPC and having free will? I'm like, cool, I want to fight this guy. Then you fight him, and you're just like, oh god, he's so fucking strong. Like that'd be so insane to see someone that caliber. God.
Yeah, he was one of the only players that could use the ability World Break. it's nuts. Like, yeah, these 41 characters are the original 9 founders of the guild. Were all incredibly strong on their own. You obviously have a Momonga, who's later renamed to Ainz Ulgon, Touch Me, Nishiki Renai, Wish 3, Warrior Take Mikazuchi, Ancient One, Flatfoot, and Amano Mahitotsu were the original 9 members.
Let's see, so then beyond that, there's other members that were important, like what, Bell River, Hiro, Buku Buku Chagma,
Blue Planet,
Peroroncino, Tabula, Lucy Fur. There's another one mentioned, Riku, but I don't think we've ever seen who that is either.
One thing about the guild is that apparently one of the rules to be in the guild was you could not be a human character. The guild was only founded and made up of monster or like anything that was not considered a human as their race.
Yeah, an undead, a skeleton, a monster, a vampire, werewolf, that kind of stuff.
Bug.
Any non-standard human was their thing, which is really cool, especially to see that that's, the guild that survives into this new world is a guild that poses to look as imposing and dark and demonic as possible, and they're the strongest thing. Like, whoa, like Skeletor vibes.
So what would you guys be for your race and whatnot if you're in this world in his guild?
Let's
say
you're every
Spellcaster?
MMO, any RPG that I can play a spellcaster, I am a spellcaster.
Pew pew.
Yeah, man, lasers. I can like summon shit.
What race? Just a human spellcaster or what?
Ooh, I usually like to be a dark elf because dark elves usually have like stronger magic abilities.
Okay. What are you, Brian?
I would have to. I don't know. I feel like maybe something sneaky, stealthy, could be kind of cool. But like, do I? But what do I do for the race? Do I just be like, what? I'm a spider, or I'm a lizard person.
I'm a spider.
I don't know. I'm a snake.
That's how you have to talk though when you fight people. You're the Fort Guardian. That's how like use your. Yeah.
So I'm a spider, but everything I say is I'm a snake, and they're like, "What?" I'm so confused. Oh man. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe like an assassin-y lizard person.
Okay. I like the tanky classes. Like when I do like RPGs and whatnot in Skyrim, I like just bash people's face in with like a mace or something.
Yep.
Or just close combat stuff. Like I don't like playing long range when I play like RPG games. I don't like any like long range attacks. I just like being in people's faces.
Yeah, so that's normally my two extremes. Like the two characters I play on Diablo as I started with the wizard, but then I went with a paladin because I do I like to have like the barbarian or the super buff tanky dude, and I just sit in there and just. Sometimes I don't want to have to strategize. I just want to push the attack button a whole bunch.
Right.
I don't know. It seems fun. It seems legit.
Right.
I'd be a cat though.
Of course you would.
Tanky small cat.
Giant tanky cat.
No, I'll be small.
But you're really small.
But I'm just the tankiest thing
you
ever.
cast giant shields. Dude, that'd make it for a great Overwatch character. Yeah. Or like if Bridget's cat could like do
jetpack cat. Yeah. Jetpack.
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
Go.
That'd be awesome.
You know, I actually just read this. Apparently, I think this might be the reason why the show is called Overlord, is because Ainz Ulgon's character is the Overlord class. Yeah. It is the the highest tier of the heteromorphic race that players were able to pick in Yggdrasil. It is the final form of the Elder Lich and Skeletal Mage.
Yep.
A powerful magic caster that pursues ultimate magic, which essentially is Ainz to a T. So that's neat.
Speaking of liches, I got to see Summoning the Lich this last week.
Was that the band you were telling me about?
Yeah. Oh man, they're so good.
Ooh.
You should check them out.
They're really good. We listened to it on a car ride one time.
If you like stuff like the Black Dahlia murder, rest in peace, Trevor Sternad. Forever in our hearts, may you rest in power. And they remind me a lot of like the Black Dahlia murder, but their album concept is, being called Summoning the Lich. They have this entire theme throughout the album that it's all about this Lich Lord and the things that happen during the summoning ceremony and what happens after or the events that follow behind the Lich now risen and taking over the city and controlling and bringing back the dead and all this shit. It's awesome. Super great concept. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons game thrown into a melodic black death metal album. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, I feel like you would like it, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah, you might. You
I'll have to
might.
check that out. You know, I like all sorts of music and all that good stuff. But
yeah, they're amazing.
do you have any cool stuff about the author? I feel like we've been kind of like going off about the
Yeah,
the characters in the show for so long.
The characters are the highlight of this show. Like I said, where they're cool, and I liked the show enough that I watched it, but it just wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't a thrilling watch, I guess.
So, would you say, in comparison to other animes that are similar with, like, getting stuck in a virtual world or an MMO-esque type anime, would you say it's one of the better ones, or would you say it's not as good?
I don't know. I kind of want to put this one middle of the road, where for the characters, I love it, and I love the idea that this guy is, the end level a dude in this world, just fucking taking over whatever he wants. But it's the story of how he gets there is pretty lackluster, or the side stories they get into. Yeah, and it's not bad. I wouldn't put it as the best, but I also wouldn't put it as the worst.
Okay, I definitely say it's one of the better MMO animes that I've watched. I've watched Dot Hack and I've watched Sword Art. I stopped watching Sword Art after the first season because I still think the first half of season 1 for Sword Art is one of the best best animes that I've seen in a while.
Oh, see, I love Sword Art. I at least made it through the Gun Gale.
Oh, I tried. I couldn't. It was so bad to me. But
the series after that is where I was like, okay, nope, I can't. Not another one.
I just, like you said, the characters in this are the main focal point. I try to say too many words at once. And I really love all the designs, their personalities, the world, and just how badass all of them are. They're all just incredibly strong. One of them could topple a kingdom on their own.
Definitely. I enjoy the show too, but for me, it's kind of middle of the road, maybe towards the weaker side of it. Just because I've seen a lot more of the MMO area. There's it's like Bull Fury I was telling you guys about, where this chick, she's a small, cute little girl. She doesn't want to get hurt, so she puts all her defensive stats, all her stats into defense, and she's just the tankiest thing ever, and she can take your soul. You touch her shield, she just absorbs you, and you're just gone. And she has all this poison affinity too with the defense. So she's just cool. You get near her, you just either get your soul taken or you just die.
Okay.
And she doesn't want to hurt people. She's just I just don't want to get hurt, guys. I'm just here. And it's just really funny and cute. And there's just a bunch of other shows. There's Grimgar too, which isn't really Trapped in Another World. It's more fantasy, but it's kind of cool. It has a lot of video game aspects to it, where it's it's just realistic things with fantasy. Oh yeah, I'm trying to swing my big great sword, but I have a party around me, and my big great sword is gonna. He does a lot of friendly fire with it. It's really cool stuff like that. Yeah.
Now, are these MMO kind of anime? Are these considered isekai?
Isekai. I mean, I would consider a lot of it isekai. It's trapped in another world kind of thing. Like Konosuba is definitely isekai. I was going to say
Konosuba. Dude, yeah. I was like, if we consider this isekai, I want to name drop Konosuba, because that's one of the best.
That's the one of the top ones for
me.
But
it's one where he's trapped in another world. He's not trapped in a video game, so it's not an MMO, but it has a lot of
video game references.
MMO. Yeah, it's like the world he transported to is a world that is somehow a game in some way.
He has stats, so you can pick out his powers, certain things he can do.
Or Rise of the Shield Hero.
Oh yeah, yep, definitely.
I love that show so much. I desire more so hard. It's such a good show. But yeah, I guess I don't really have anything else on the show itself. Do either of you have anything before we move on?
I think we kind of talked about everything.
We had a question for you guys too. That's what we were talking about. So, what video game would you want to be trapped in if you could be trapped in a video game?
Yeah.
Oh, Pokemon. I want to live in a Pokemon world.
and you're in just a video game, any video game.
Yeah, any video game or MMO style. We can do more MMO.
It's if it has to be an MMO, I'm gonna do Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Okay.
Oh, dude, same. Yeah, if we have to pick MMOs, 100%.
Both of you Star Wars?
Oh yeah.
I think that'd be rad.
Genshin Impact, guys. Imagine me as the Shogun. I'd be the Shogun.
That would be pretty fun. I just want to do the glider thing.
Exactly.
And just fly. get my
There's
glider's
cats
license.
everywhere in Genshin Impact. I just go around just petting cats.
Ooh, you're bringing up some good points there, buddy.
Yeah, you know, that's fair. It's not a bad angle, and I get
Right.
some supreme like climbing abilities.
Right, and you have your own party to hang out with. Like, I feel it'd be so cool just having a party, just hang out with you. Like, it's like, here's my favorite quote from Genshin Impact. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Zhongli. I'm a chef from Liyue. My favorite place is the chicken. Kitchen. You know? Yeah, come on.
My favorite place is the chicken. I mean, the kitchen.
Yeah. Imagine having your party member having her, and she just cooks you food, and she throws out a pan that does
Oh, that
flamethrowers.
just seems like a little.
Yeah, that'd be
as a
cool.
girl, I didn't realize that. That seems a little sexist.
All right. Well, let's get into. So there's a couple people that we need to credit to this here. So we've got the writer Kagune Maruyama, and it's illustrated by Sobin. Now these two guys are elusive. There was very little to no information on any of these guys, so this is going to be pretty brief. I apologize. So the info that I pulled from Kugane is in myanimelist.net. So he went by a handle of Muchi Muchi Pudi Pudin Pudirin. Pudding.
Is that my girlfriend's cat?
Pudding.
It is.
Muchi Muchi Pudding was his handle when he was first posted Overlord on the website Shosetsuka ni Naro. Subsequently, he changed his pseudonym to Kugane Maruyama when Overlord got published. He didn't want readers to cast strange eyes when purchasing Overlord, since Muchi Muchi Pudding means blubbery fatty.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
hell?
blubbery fatty. What the hell? I mean, cool. He had a short story called Dawn that has been adapted in Kagetsu Toya, which is Type Moon's sequel to their earlier Dojin visual novel game Tsukihime, which released in August of 2001. Nasu Kinoko, the writer of Fate Stay Night, praised his work, but Maruyama gave up the dream of becoming a writer because he felt the difference in talent between Nasu and himself. So,
Brent, by the way, you need to watch the Fate Stay Night series.
you know,
the
that's
Fate series is so good.
It's a name that has popped up many times since we've started this podcast, and I know it's like there's a lot of stuff.
I can let you
though.
borrow them. I have.
See, I feel like that's one that we definitely would have to
We
do
can-
eventually, but we'll have to watch it.
Maybe do
it's
like
gonna take a lot longer.
I can let you
for us
just
to
borrow
watch
the first part.
We would need like a two-parter, Fate Stay Night Part 1, and then we'd do the next episode of the same thing, and just because that's a huge
It is but
undertaking.
I feel like we could do it.
we could, yeah. It would just be, let us know if that's something that you want us to do. I think that'd be really cool if you're okay with like a two-part episode on like a same show. If we dig into something huge, like if we ever do One Piece one day, that'll probably be 2 episodes. Same thing with
Two.
Naruto.
I feel like it's gonna have to be.
It
5.
could, but I'm not going to do more than 2. But yeah, no, that's crazy. That with like this guy from Fate Stay Night, that he literally gave up wanting to be a writer. It's like, like that dude that quit Dragon Ball Super at that last tournament where he just got his ass beat so hard he quit
Oh my God, that
forever.
poor man, Kyle. You ruined this whole man's career.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm afraid that guy's gonna come back with a gun to the next tournament. He looks like he's gonna shoot us.
you made me buy Digimon
Yeah,
cards.
he literally switched genres. He switched to.
This guy literally just sold his cards after he had his ass kicked.
Oh
He's like,
my
nope, I'm
God,
done.
that was so good. But yeah, Nasu was so good that Maruyama said, "Nah, fuck this. I can't do this." So he was obviously, so with Overlord having all these Dungeons and Dragons themes, he is a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons, which is one of the reasons he started writing again, because all of his D&D buddies were too busy to play with him. So he just wanted to D&D all the time, but his other friends are too busy being adults.
Can you relate to that, Brett?
Yes. Yes, I can. I mean, actually, no, I've got a group that I could play with. I don't know, I haven't in a little while.
I just don't want to.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. Haven't really been in the mood for it. When Maruyama asked, what makes you realize that you are a professional writer during an interview, or when he was asked what makes you realize that you are a professional writer during an interview for Kono light novel Ga Sugoi, a 2017 magazine, he responded with, "When Sobin sends me his illustrations, I have that moment of, I'm a writer now. When what I wrote is illustrated by someone else, I feel the reality that I'm making something. Visuals are important. While a novel can pack in various information, an illustration can convey a lot of information the moment you see it. Which I think is great that, these two guys can work so well together, that Sobin can bring his, story to life with his just weird and wonderful cast of characters. That's all I had for Kugane. For Sobin, he has even less. Sobin,
wow.
yeah, I don't know when they were born, where they were born at. I straight up scoured the internet.
Why are certain mangaka just very secretive? Like, we can't really see. There's a lot of times where we'll try to do a series and they're like, nope, there's no information on the artist.
I feel like maybe we mentioned this before, but I feel like, to me, it's like it's a status thing where they don't necessarily want the fame. They're doing it for the sake of the art form. It's not about the fame they get from it.
Huh, okay.
So they just kind of tend to do their work quietly, submit it, have fun with their work, being praised by people, but they themselves are like, okay, I don't want all of the crazy recognition. Right. And they live in a really condensed, packed area. Like, could you imagine somebody discovers who the artist is for one of these anime, and there's just tens of thousands of kids on this dude's little doorstep outside? They could go do it whenever they wanted.
I just imagine how Akira Toriyama must live his life.
Yeah. Yep. Like a hermit, like Master Roshi on an island.
Mm-hmm. That man's been in everything.
Yeah.
Was he on? Okay, I remember seeing a meme where he's like, "I hate anime." he's like, "This was, I made a mistake or something."
Made a mistake.
Man,
that'd be hilarious, actually.
So Sobin stated before that although he draws digitally, he always tries to train with an analog or an old school method as well, since he dislikes how coloring and blending doesn't feel right to him in software. Which is interesting when you're looking at all of the really the cover art for the DVDs or the manga, the book. The cover on the artwork for it is super painterly. It looks like I don't know, it looks like a painting. It's really cool. It's super high detailed. He does a great job. The reason why he has a painterly feel to his work is because he's stated that he is not satisfied with, quote, subpar programs, whatever those are. He has very high standards for himself, apparently. He's also worked on various mobile games, such as Shingeki no Bahamut, Square Enix's Guardian Cross, a Hatsune Miku cover, and several other MOBA games and phone properties. He's I don't know, again, he's another pretty reclusive guy, but that's it. Ta-da! Kugane Maruyama and Sobin, the two creators behind Overlord. I guess I don't have a ton else about the show. What MMOs have you guys played, or what's your favorite one that you've played?
Well, one of my favorite, I'm trying to think. I got into World of Warcraft with my brother, and we played that for quite a while. He got way more into it than I did.
I remember that.
But then I think the anime I still enjoyed the most was probably Star Wars, The Old Republic. I remember when that came out, you, me, and a bunch of guys from GameStop were getting it, and I still have that code, that coded keychain.
Yep.
Somewhere around here.
Yeah, that key code generator, yeah.
I would love to hop back into that game sometime. I just wish they would release it on something besides
just
PC.
Microtransaction City now.
Is it? Oh,
well, because it's free to play up to a certain level, but then once you hit a certain level, they restrict what kind of armor pieces you can equip. It costs an ungodly amount of credits to get your what is it, I think it's your pilot's license, the thing that lets you ride mounts, or your mount license, or whatever the hell that shit was called.
That's just unfortunate.
You have to have the the monthly subscription for it. You have to have the monthly subscription to equip certain pieces of armor. You can only have X amount of characters made. You only get so much inventory space. You can't do certain raids and stuff. They lock you out pretty hard, so you have to pay for it. But what you get in exchange, considering that it is free if you want to suffer forever, I think it was worth it. I was back in it maybe a year ago, maybe a couple years ago, but I'm in and out of that game every 2 or 3 years. It's one of my favorites, so yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, that is... Man, that's kind of sad. I hate it. Microtransactions just ruin games. Monetization at its worst.
Did you ever play Final Fantasy 14?
Briefly, I thought it was way too boring and way too slow paced.
Oh man!
But this was also like years ago when they have re-released it as Final Fantasy XIV: Realm Reborn, and I heard they've gotten a lot better with it.
Yeah.
And that has interested me, but I am somebody I do not want to pay a monthly subscription to play a game. Let me pay $60. Let me own the game. I think that is. Right. I think that's better. I understand though MMOs take a lot of maintenance, which I get, but just $15 a month for a game is just kind of stupid in my opinion.
Right.
I agree with you on that.
Like I feel like for me it was better WoW is what I personally experienced with it, where like you still have your attack rotations, but the attack rotations were just more in depth and more flashy and interesting to look at. I think they were more interactive than a lot of WoWs were. Where WoW now kind of seems, I mean, it was one of the first, big MMOs that went like huge. It killed like every other MMO out there. But at least now I just feel like the commands and rotation stuff is a little archaic and stiff for me to play. But I liked Final Fantasy XIV. And then Destiny, I am going to consider those MMOs. They are not necessarily RPGs. They are first-person shooter MMOs. But I played the shit out of Destiny 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
Many hours. I played that game a grotesque number of hours. It was nuts. I loved it. Well, shoot. I mean, I don't think I have anything else. We covered basically everything about the show. Did you guys have anything else that you want to add last minute here before we do our closing segment?
No. I think we talked a lot about the show, more so than I feel like any of the other episodes we've done.
I feel like we did a pretty good job. We didn't give away too many spoilers, I don't think. It's still a very watchable show, just not necessarily, like I said, the most intense or exciting all the time, but it was a good watch. I had fun with it.
Ooh, actually, a little fun fact here, just because I was doing some research on the Overlord Wikipedia page. So apparently Albedo has two sisters. She has an older sister and a younger sister. Now, apparently, her younger sister, Rubedo, is considered the strongest entity in all of Nazarick, including Ainz Ulgon.
Really?
But apparently, her appearance is unknown, but it's implied she is a type of mechanical being as well, because apparently she does need to be turned on and brought up to speed. Apparently, her background is, according to her sister Negrido, who's Abedo's older sister, she was created by the Tabula Smaragdina using a unique process that differs from the other NPCs that he made. So apparently, she was made in a very unique way, and she's incredibly powerful. Let's see, powers and abilities. Rubedo is the most powerful NPC that can even overwhelm Ainz Ulgon. Even touch me with full equipment. Apparently, Rubedo was one of the top 4 rated close combat specialists, surpassing Cocytus, Albedo, and Sebes. And of course, she happens to be the strongest among them. Ainz expected that he would have to give a world item to the defenders of the 8th floor if Rubedo ever rebelled against Nazarick.
Dang.
Apparently, Ainz said that
try to mind control her next.
Apparently, Ainz has stated that no matter how strong Rubedo is, she would not be able to fight one of them to a draw. So apparently, there are some creatures or some beings on the 8th floor that, well, Ainz has said the 8th floor is where the strongest force of Nazarick is located, which is also the same floor that Victim guards.
Yeah.
But Victim obviously is not powerful. Victim's just, he's got abilities, but apparently he keeps referring to the beings on the 8th floor as them, and also like just how strong they are. So that is incredibly, particularly the ones who can defeat Rubedo or the other denizens found on the 8th floor with her. But apparently she is located on the 8th floor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty.
You scroll a little further down the list there, Phil, about Albedo. There's a fact that, okay, don't judge me on this, but it's just, I was on that list. She has several pairs of panties she changes throughout the show. I thought it was funny because I just that
You just have to
yeah.
mention it.
Yeah.
With
Let's
the
see
junk.
here. Yeah,
many?
that's cool. That's actually kind of cool that there's like some being that is stronger than everyone and could fuck shit up if she ever,
Yeah. Damn.
rebelled.
That'd be crazy.
But we don't even know what she looks like
Did
yet.
they make her then too, and then
Yeah, she's an NPC.
Well, not sure if she's just a world NPC or like did the guild actually.
The guild created her.
Okay.
But apparently they did it in a unique way.
Right.
Raising the dead, sacrificing a bunch of lizard people.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know.
Lizard
One
people
of
having
those.
sex, and we have to sacrifice their newborns.
Oh, shit. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for listening in. You can stop by our Patreon if you want to hear more episodes. We just released our last episode this last Wednesday on the show FLCL. So if you want to know a little bit about that, you can stop by patreon.com/themenofzen. You can sign up for $3 a month and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I want to thank Shminkadelic for the use of our intro and outro to our podcast. You can find his music on Spotify, I believe Apple Music as well. Thank you so much for listening in. This has been another episode of The Men of Zen. Once again, my name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
And I made it.
This has been The Men of Zen.
Stay zen.